What's like the best part of being in the state legislature? What's like the most difficult or challenging part?
A lot of these decisions are heavy decisions. They're large decisions. You're never going to make everyone happy.
There's a lot of risk in real estate. What's the scariest situation you ever had on the real estate side?
It was a great project, but it was scary thinking that I might have to walk away from, $500,000.
This is why my wife is worried about real estate. We shouldn't even bring that up. It's horrible. Husband to one, father to six, owns multiple businesses, and former combat sports athlete. I just know two things, friends. Everyone loves this guy, and Epstein didn't kill himself. Jordan Redman is here. Jordan, good to have you.
Dude, thanks for having me, man. This is fun. It's exciting.
So we're here right now at the Big I in Coeur d'Alene, your hometown. But you told me you've been living at the Big I for the last month. Tell me what's going on.
Yeah, I've been living at the resort for the past little bit. I have 4 conferences at the Coeur d'Alene Resort in the month of August. So like 16 days out of August, I will be at the resort, which there are worse places to be, and I don't have to travel, so it's actually pretty awesome.
So you said 4 conferences at the Coeur d'Alene Resort. Walk us through what you're doing.
Yeah. So the first conference was Live Action, which is a pro-life organization that was for lawmakers. And so it was an excellent conference, learned a lot. Idaho's done a lot in that space. So, we got a little shout out because there was legislators from all over the country. Now we're at the Big I. So Big I of Idaho, excellent conference, just getting started. We started yesterday, full line of events today, tomorrow, and then on Wednesday we wrap up with a board meeting. And then next up will be Convoy of Hope, which is an organization that's near and dear to my wife and I's heart. They work all over the world doing feeding initiatives for children, agricultural initiatives, disaster relief, and then also women's empowerment. And then the final one is a family office conference, meeting with other family offices, investors, and visiting. So, yeah, just living at the resort.
So it's early August right now. When will you be totally done with this span of conferences?
Well, they space out a little bit. Live Action backed up to the Big I, and then I think I have a week or two of a break, and then be back there back to back again.
Okay, So you've got like things involved. You're involved with politically, business wise, philanthropic. You've got a lot going on.
Yeah.
So walk me through. I've only known you as a father of a large family, insurance agency owner. I believe you went homeschool to U of I then I'm a little less clear. So walk me through how you came to these businesses and to the insurance industry.
Yeah. Well, close. So I was homeschooled, but I played sports with the local high school, which is where I met my wife. And after high school, to go on to college, sports was a huge part of my life. And so I went to, I was actually dually enrolled during high school at NIC, North Idaho College. And then after I graduated, I went to Whitworth College over in Spokane to play football and basketball. And then, like I said, I met my wife my senior year of high school, and sports became harder to concentrate on when I had met my wife, Amy. And so then I ended up transferring over to University of Idaho. We got married. I was 20, she was 19. And at that point, I had to get to work. So my dad had an insurance agency, and it was I jumped in as a producer, commission only. And so, start my first paycheck with, I think, like $152, and then just slowly worked up as we went from there. And, and along the way, we ended up acquiring the agency from my folks. We were doing some real estate investing at that point too. And then we kind of got into the private equity space where we started to invest in different companies. And that's kind of how everything moved on from there.
Wow. So, okay, backing up a pinch, you mentioned football and basketball at Whitworth. What positions did you play?
So in high school, I was kind of like a combo guard, point guard, shooting guard, and then football, I played quarterback and defensive back, but I was recruited to play defensive back at Whitworth, and then combo guard as well.
Okay. So, yeah. Wow. Well, in a perfect world, I would have been good enough to play college sports. I never was. I also wanted to be a newscaster, but male pattern baldness set in, and I was doomed. So
you kind of got the newscaster thing with the podcast, man.
I'm trying.
That's the new thing, though, right? Like, that's bigger than newscaster.
That's true. If Joe Rogan can go from just sitting in front of a microphone to interviewing the president of the United States and having them ask to be interviewed. It shows the power of podcasting.
That's right, man. You're on your way.
Well, insurance podcasts are typically a niche within a niche within a niche. What I like about you is that you've got other business interests, you've got the legislative side, so there's a lot of dynamics there. Did you always, like, as I'm just thinking through like the business aspect, did you always have insurance and other business things going at the same time? Or was there ever a time you were thinking about focusing on just one of those?
No, yeah, it kind of always was moving. I started investing in real estate pretty young, and it's a funny story. My brother was looking at some condos up in at Mount Spokane, and I went along on a ride. They were super reasonable. I think it was like $25,000 for an actual condominium. That was that kind of got me hooked on real estate. So we kept looking and investing in real estate. Working as a producer in the insurance industry, I would try to use that money to invest in other things. And then again, after we kind of built up enough residual income from our book of business, some cash flows from the real estate side, then we started looking at businesses and investing in those.
Wow. I wish that I had done more with real estate. I'm always very impressed when guys like yourself talk about, can casually talk about it, because I know it's not that easy. There's a lot of risk in real estate. People do get burned, and there were people who bought those condos on a credit card and then weren't able to turn it around. Like, what's the scariest situation you ever had on the real estate side?
I remember we were buying a development piece up north, and we were working towards it. It was a piece of property that you weren't going to be able to get financing on, so had to. We were buying it cash, and I think we had $500,000 non-refundable earnest money out on this one, and I was scrambling to find a way to pay for the whole project, and luckily we were able to, and it was a great project, but it was scary thinking that I might have to walk away from $500,000.
Gosh, and this is why my wife is worried about real estate. Those kind of stories right there. Wow. So, okay, you came to work in a family agency, ended up buying the agency eventually. What's it like to work in an agency with your folks? What's it like when that's transferred over to you? Were they looking to get out of it? Or were they looking to stay around? Well, tell me about the Redman dynamic.
Yeah. So I kind of grew up actually in the agency just because I was homeschooled. So, my sister and I were taught there scholastically as my folks were writing insurance. So we kind of both grew up in it. My sister was working in the agency with her husband, as well as myself and my wife. We were all four working there with our folks, and our folks said, hey, we're ready to sell it. They had gifted us some stock, but now we wanted to sell it. And so my sister and I ended up acquiring it together. We just kind of had different ideas of how the business should run. And so we ended up separating that agency, basically split it. You take half, I'll take half. We'll kind of go our own separate ways. But there's interesting dynamics in a family agency for sure. My folks are incredible folks, and the way they started that agency from scratch, built it up, and allowed my sister and I to have great opportunities for our careers was very respectable, and we just really appreciate them for that. But there's definitely interesting dynamics. You have a lot of trust, but there's also that's family too, and it can get dicey at times.
Yeah. I know that my brother likes to use this analogy with me. Like we'll be thinking through a family vacation. My folks will say, let's go somewhere all together, be with the grandkids. Well, one of my sisters will have opinions, and she'll say, well, I'd like to do this, but not do that. And so I'll say, well, dude, she's being pushy. And then my brother, this is his analogy. He goes, Brian, you're like England. She's like Scotland. You think you're really different, but everyone in the world thinks you're exactly the same.
Yeah, totally.
So I guess I can be a little pushy with those things too, but I can especially see how you can really, you're a guy who has done a lot. You've invested in real estate. You got the family, you got the agency that you're now running. You've got family in town who also has an agency, but there's probably, there's peace, and you're both doing your thing. Walk me through the Redman political world. I want to say your dad had been doing some state level politics as well. Now you are. Give us the overview of that.
Yeah. So my dad served in the state legislature probably like 14 years ago for 2 terms. I saw kind of what that was like for him, what he went through. And And I thought, I'm never going to do that. Like there's no way I'm possibly ever going to do that. Now, we were supportive of candidates, kind of behind the scenes with fundraising, that type deal. But I didn't think I would ever want to hold public office. But about 3-4 years ago now, some folks from our central committee reached out and said, hey, there's going to be a vacancy here. Would you consider running for this seat? And I said, well, I gave the good Christian answer and just said, I'll pray about it. But I pretty much knew how that prayer was going to go. But the Lord really kind of did put on my wife and I's hearts and push forward with that we should do it. And so we figured better to be obedient and walk through that. And it's been a great experience. Obviously not without trials, but it's been the Lord's just provided the whole way, and I feel very good about the work that we were able to do down there. And we're still working through it.
So like when the Central Committee asked you, and you said, "I'll pray about it," in the back of your mind, were you thinking, "Yes, I'll do it," or "Not a chance"?
Not a chance. No.
Really?
I was thinking no, there's no way. We had at that point we had 5 kids. Some business stuff going on. We were really busy. I'm just thinking there's just no way. But like I said, there was just the Lord really did show us that this was what He wanted us to do, and so we did it, and it's been a great experience.
So you've done 1 term already?
I'm in my 2nd term right now.
2nd term right now.
Yep.
And you said that your dad did 2 terms?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
What's it like being down in Boise for all that time each year? What's it been like for the family? Because you're for those who don't know, being in Coeur d'Alene, you're a solid 7-hour drive from Boise or an hour flight.
Yep.
So walk us through that.
Yeah. Well, one thing that we agreed upon early on, my wife and I, was that if we were going to do this, the whole family was going to do this. So we ended up getting a house down there in Boise, and so all 6 of the kids, the 2 big dogs, and even my folks come down, and we all live down there during the session. Now, I'm on 6 interim committees right now, and we're out of session, but I'm constantly still down in Boise. So if we do that now, I'll fly down for the day, do some work, and then come back that evening. But we decided early on that we needed to relocate the whole family because I think it would have been tough on the family, my wife, as well as the kids, not being there during the week. So everyone comes down, and it's kind of a fun time, a little retreat.
I like that you're able to keep the family together. I guess I take for granted that living in Meridian, I think downtown Boise is a 15 to 20 minute drive, depending on a few factors, maybe 13 if you're driving really fast.
Yeah.
But for you to bring the whole family and keep them together, are they seeing Boise as a second home? How do your kids respond to that? Yeah.
I mean, I think they enjoy it. It's a little, it's a little change up from their everyday lives. Where we live in Hayden, we're kind of in the country, a lot of woods and streams and all that. And where we go in Boise, we're in a development. So it's a little different for them. Just, they can't be as loud. They can't be just running wild all the time. Now, I don't think that really stops them. They still pretty much do that. But I think they see it as a second home, and they enjoy it, I think.
Okay. So what's the best part of being in the state legislature? What's the most difficult or challenging part?
Yeah, I think the best part is probably, seeing impact and change on a state level. I think that's important, and I think that's really something that, I see a lot of value in. The most difficult part is, a lot of these decisions are heavy decisions. They're large decisions, and you're never going to make everyone happy. And so, it's kind of dealing with, the decisions that we have to make, and what does that look like for a state? And they're difficult decisions, and you don't want to make the wrong decision. So the weight of it is difficult.
Okay, so I kind of know what it's like to be an insurance agent, but I don't know what it's like to be a politician. Are you up early every day at the Capitol? Are there days where you might not have a meeting till noon? What does your schedule look like?
Yeah, I'm a pretty early riser in general all the time. But yeah, I'm up early, get up about 4. Generally, we'll run to the gym about 5 and then into the Capitol by 6. Okay. And then once you get to the Capitol, it's basically work nonstop till, the evening. So they're long days. You're trying to pack as much as you can into the legislative session so you can take care of all the business that the state needs done. So they are long days, but it's, for a season, again, it's 3-4 months every year. But, outside of the session, that's still constant, emails, constituent meetings, as well as, the interim committees.
Okay. Well, you are an early riser. I can tell you that. I feel like when we're texting, your peak energy levels are around 6 a.m.
Yeah.
You're just like firing on all cylinders. And that's when I'm like not even alive. I'm like hoping to not be awake by that time.
Yeah.
So when you're a morning person like that, is going to bed early super important for you? Or do you just function on not a lot of sleep?
Yeah, a lot of times not a lot of sleep, but, I'm very tired by about, 9 p.m. at night. I mean, it's like, pretty much done for the day around then. But, like last night we had an event at the Big I, right? And we had a dinner and then a reception in the evening. So we got home, my wife and I did about 9, but then, you visit with the kids a little bit. So I think I got to bed yesterday about 11, but, I woke up organically today at like 3:45. My alarm didn't even ring, So
3:45?
Yeah.
Dude, you've already had a full day.
Yeah,
it's only
I'm done.
It's only 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So what do you do if you get up at 3:45?
Oh, if I wake up like that, I'll just get going. You know what I mean? So, got up, got a little workout in. I have one of those cold plunge tanks, so went and got a little cold therapy going, and then had some coffee, and then I started with meeting with team members around 6 this morning. So,
dang, okay. Give us the overview of Redman and Associates right now. What are you excited about for the future? What's the insurance landscape like in Coeur d'Alene?
Yeah, I think we've seen a lot of acquisitions from large private equity companies in our neck of the woods, and so for us, we see that as a benefit for our independent agency because we're locally owned. We're very involved in the community, and so I think we're seeing a lot of business come our way because of that. Right. Some of the folks that have had accounts around the area, now with this, new private equity, larger corporation buying them, some of their clients are saying like, I want to still be with somebody, locally owned and operated. And so we're seeing a lot of benefit there. I think we're trying to grow our team currently, right? We have a lot of business coming in as well as, servicing our existing book of business. And so right now we're looking at adding team members to both on the service and the production side. So it's an exciting time right now. And I think the sky's the limit.
So Jordan, we need to talk about this. We're going to switch gears here real fast. On the Mount Everest of world's most awkward interactions, hugs ever to happen, your lovely wife, Amy, and myself hugged in your office doorway. I don't know if you remember this. I came up, I'm hanging out with you. She comes in, we're like hugging halfway in a doorway, and it was so weird. And I knew it was funny because literally the next 10 people you ran into, you're like, oh my gosh, you've got to hear about this. To the point where Amy was like, she said, stop telling people about it. I don't know if you remember this, but I remember it very clearly.
So I love joking and teasing. And so I vaguely remember, I can't picture the exact hug, but I do remember telling everyone about it and trying to make it as uncomfortable and awkward for everyone involved as I could. But yeah, I'm trying to picture what it looked like, but I do remember it was funny and I wanted to tell everyone I knew. So
you have your desk. There's a doorway there. She's coming in the doorway. So like, do you hug them normal or like, but there's a door, so you're trying to maneuver it. It's just so bad. I felt so bad for her because I could tell she was irritated by your enjoyment level that like escalated it for you as well.
Yeah.
Oh, Jordan, we shouldn't even bring that up. It's horrible. Hey, speaking of good things, you have done some awesome work in Africa. Tell us about that, what you're doing, how long you've been involved in it.
Yeah. So we have a nonprofit called 208 Ministries, and we started that years ago, and we do a lot of things in our community, that type deal, but we had a friend who was a pastor over in South Africa. He introduced me to some folks in Zimbabwe, some other pastors that were doing work over there. And Zimbabwe is a completely corrupt government, hyperinflation. It's a very difficult place to live right now. And there's very little hope over there right now. And so there's no public education. So we partnered with these guys starting a tech school. So we got some computers, some technology for these different churches and villages, and they're able to help teach these kids at least some of the technology skills that you can get from, having a laptop, some of the things that you can spread around, the whole internet, right? And so it was giving them an opportunity to educate a lot of these kids and give them hope for a future. So yeah, it was really a cool program there. And then we've done some feeding initiatives, some agricultural initiatives, not necessarily in partnership with Convoy of Hope, but using those same guidelines as Convoy of Hope uses. And Convoy is now in Zimbabwe. And so it's kind of like now we can hand it off to the real pros. So we're not kind of, figuring it out as we go.
So would you say Convoy of Hope was someone you were learning from, or you kind of saw what they were doing and you were mimicking that to continue the mission?
Yeah, I think both, right?
Okay.
And actually last year I was able to go over to Convoy. We were in Kenya with the Convoy team, and then some of the Convoy members came with me over to Zimbabwe afterwards, and we met with some of those pastors and looked at, some of the agricultural initiatives. And again, they do it at such a higher scale and higher level with better efficiencies that hopefully we'll be able to see that, kind of flourish in Zimbabwe.
Okay. Well, so now our kids are probably... did you bring any of your kids with you over there?
On this trip, it was just me because I hadn't been there. And so there's some security concerns. And so it was just me. But I think the next time we go over there, my wife at least will join and possibly my children.
Okay. Well, I know Africa's a unique place and there are security concerns. I was going to say I have a 10 and 13-year-old and they can go to the mall and they can be in Boise, Idaho. But going to Africa is a whole different animal. There's just everything's different.
It is completely different. Yeah. Yep. But, I want them to see sort of like the reason why we exist too, right? Like we always see, obviously we've been very blessed in the business world, but, we see, business as a ministry. And the whole point of why we work hard and do these things is to further the kingdom of God. And so that's exactly the focus of everything that we do.
Right. Well, and hopefully it can spark something in your kids to maybe say, hey, my parents did great in business, but I'd love to work for Convoy of Hope or be part of a church that's doing that or whatever it will be.
Yeah.
I know I read a book a while ago about Rwanda, but it ends up giving the whole story of East Africa. And it made me realize that any ministry done over there is desperately needed because of the total lack of social structure in place. So if no one ever expects to have clean water or toilets or whatever in a lot of these areas, if you come and say, hey, we're going to give you food, help you get a job, this is an exponential, life-changing ministry compared to just, giving someone something that they could maybe live life without.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the whole focus and goal of what we're doing as well as what Convoy is to empower, right? Because the goal would be to, empower people to work ourselves out of the job of, giving them that hand up, right? So that's kind of the focus with the agricultural initiatives, the women's empowerment, even the feeding initiatives, right? And the education, because, it's hard to learn when you're not eating any calories, right? It's hard to, learn without the access to technology or whatever that, curriculum is.
Right. So Convoy of Hope is in Zimbabwe. You're in Zimbabwe through 208 Ministries. Do you see yourself staying plugged in there long term? Is there like an exit date per se? How does that work?
Yeah, I think right now it's kind of building the infrastructure and, getting the agricultural initiatives going, trying to build all that up so that we can exit and just hand it off to the folks that are really boots on the ground running it now. I think that's the long-term goal. We're not there yet, but, hopefully we'll get there in the near future and, figure out what that next project looks like.
Okay. Is it the type of thing with Convoy or with what you're doing where you would take like a short-term missions team from church potentially in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. We that's exactly kind of what we did when we were in Kenya. When we got to Zimbabwe, it was more like recon, figuring out how to plug, some of the programs in over there. But Convoy does that a lot, and it would be fun to look at 208 doing that as well. Because we have a number of people back home that are invested into this ministry as well and want to help, benefit the people over there.
Okay. What when you said figuring out how to plug those things in, my brain just immediately sees you in the Capitol plugging in all those things. So maybe switching gears to this upcoming legislative session. You've got, you ran a bunch of bills last year. by the time this podcast comes out, it'll probably be getting much closer to that, start of 2026 session. Is there anything you're really excited about? Any bills you're looking at? Maybe you're not supposed to say them ahead of time, but what are you looking forward to?
Yeah. I think there's probably some wisdom to that, not saying things ahead of time. But I mean, I can talk about some of the stuff that we will be working on and running. I think we're kind of following. We had a very successful legislative session last year. I mean, if you're a conservative, you had a successful session last year.
Amen, baby.
Yeah. But I kind of think specifically to like the insurance industry, we're really taking a hard look at third-party litigation.
Okay.
So, you have some of these foreign entities that are funneling money into the United States and asking for plaintiff attorneys, not to settle claims, right? Because they want to drag this out as long as possible, hope for a large settlement, and then they get paid back with great interest, these third-party litigation groups do. And so kind of looking at some ways to curb that a little bit because, it's driving up claims, it's driving up cost for everyone. And I think it actually probably has some possibility of being a, some of these groups are foreign adversaries, right? So Russia, China, and it can literally tank your economy. And so I was back in D.C. with the Big I, about a month ago, and we talked to some of our federal delegation about this, and they had a lot of interest, but we're going to do it at the state level and get that accomplished. And I think it's going to provide more stability within the insurance market. And again, I think it is actually a national security issue as well.
Wow. So is this the type of thing Florida's running into where they just have lawyers flocking to every single claim and it's really killing their insurance market?
Exactly right.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. And again, these third-party funders are saying, hey, Mr. Attorney, I know you got a good settlement offer and it's going to be good for the person that was injured, but we don't want you to take that. We want to drive it to a trial and hopefully that we can get, $10 million or whatever out of this. So, all that money goes back to the funder, right? The attorney doesn't make anything more. I mean, they might make a little bit more, but, the actual plaintiff doesn't make anything more.
Right. So this is the type of thing where Matt Todd from the Ranch Podcast.
I do.
This is the kind of thing where he's done such a good job of finding these issues at the state level and having people talk through them kind of in that longer form podcast. So I've appreciated listening to him because I feel like he's now the place where something like what you're bringing up, someone who's politically minded will go to that podcast thinking, maybe there's a way I can learn more about this from the source. I know you went on his podcast a while ago. Is this the kind of thing where you will need that political support and backup? Will there be people pushing back on this from a political standpoint, or is it just outside interest groups pushing back?
Yeah, I think it will be both. I think it will be outside interest groups. I think it will be the plaintiff attorneys. I mean, I think there's going to be some of those folks pushing back against it. But really, I think when you break it down, lay out all the components, it makes complete sense. And it's something that we shouldn't be having, this kind of, funding coming into our court systems. So,
right.
But yeah, I mean, I would be happy to go on the ranch and discuss it. I agree. I think it's nice to have that platform that people can go on and discuss. He takes everyone on there, right? Here's the pros, the cons, different sides of why people believe the way they do. So it's a great podcast.
Well, I mean, speaking of podcasts, so Jordan Redman is in the car or lifting weights. Like, what are you listening to? What's typically coming through your AirPods?
Yeah, I like Rogan's podcast.
Okay.
I like Craig Groeschel has a great podcast.
Okay.
Going to start listening to Risk and Resilience. I like Matt's podcast too. But I'm more of a music guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, at least for me, I have a harder time listening to a book if I'm lifting weights.
Yeah.
And especially if I'm running. I don't see how people can run listening to a podcast.
Yeah.
I need like something like guitars cranking and music and people screaming or whatever.
Pink Pony Club, something like that.
What do you have any books you'd recommend? Are you an audiobook guy?
I am. Yep, big audiobook guy. Pull up what I got going right now.
Pull that up.
Right now I'm listening to Teddy Roosevelt's biography.
Okay.
I got The Patriarch on here, The Crisis of Dependency. Yeah.
Is that The Patriarch is Joe Kennedy?
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
So
yep.
I got a crazy story on Joe Kennedy, or on the Kennedy family. So the Kennedys have this whole Camelot myth, right? Oh, it was a perfect world. The reality is, like, JFK didn't even write his book, Profiles in Courage. He was in the hospital. He had a ghostwriter.
Yeah.
His dad is successful. His dad's the head of the SEC. His dad was sidelined to be the ambassador to Britain because FDR saw him as a challenger.
Sure.
So, but this is the craziest story. Imagine you're a 28-year-old guy. You're Ted Kennedy, okay? You're 28, you're insecure, you're kind of seen as the least successful brother in the family. Your 40-year-old brother is JFK, and he is the best man at your wedding. So he's a U.S. senator, he's this good-looking guy, everyone knows he's gonna run for president someday. Back then, they had this cutting-edge technology where they had people mic'd up, they recorded what was said. It was like, but who thinks about this? Like, it's like brand new, so they don't really understand it. The same way you and I are aware.
Right.
JFK leans over to Teddy, like moments before his wife is walking down the aisle, and JFK says to Teddy, now keep in mind, just because you're getting married doesn't mean you have to stop sleeping with other women.
Oh.
Yeah. So everyone acts like JFK and Jackie were like this, like golden couple, but another book I read, JFK and Bobby said to the head of the Secret Service, when Jackie goes to Europe, under no circumstances can she can she run into Aristotle Onassis, who was essentially the Jeff Bezos at the time.
Sure.
And they don't think they did connect on that trip, but 5 years after he dies, she becomes Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis and marries him. So the whole Camelot thing, I'm a little bit like, okay, media, I know you're making this guy, the media can lift people up and crush people.
Yeah.
But I have a copy of The Patriarch in my library. I want to read it eventually, but there's a little bit of a myth that comes along with those Camelot type stories.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's interesting. Now, as we know, the Kennedy name has been known to have a wandering eye, I guess.
Wandering eye. Hey, but you know who's a legit Kennedy right now is our homeboy RFK. You just met him. What was that like? Yeah,
it was awesome, man. I got to meet him. So I was in D.C. for the first Maha report a couple months ago, which was pretty awesome, where, you had RFK and the president and all the secretaries there. And, it was a little bit bigger event, though. There was probably a couple hundred people in the White House during that event. And so, but after we had passed some legislation this previous session, RFK came to Boise, and we got to meet there in Boise at the Capitol. And then the next day, we got to go out to a ranch looking at a guy that does some farming where they don't use any kind of pesticides and that type of thing. And that was more of a kind of an interaction where we had lunch and visited, and not as stuffy as, kind of like the whole, song and dance were at the Capitol. So really cool. I think we really align on the health policy, and I think he's a great man to be our HHS secretary.
Yeah. I mean, I think the fact that from just a strictly political standpoint, because I don't want to be airing out all my political opinions, but I feel like for Kamala Harris not to engage him and just to abandon him on the side of the road, when I have a theory that 1 or 2% of the American public is devoutly connected to RFK because of his health, what he does with health. So it's a master stroke by Trump to say, dude, this guy's going to be involved.
Absolutely.
I mean, why abandon someone who wanted to be an ally? It just doesn't make any sense.
And I think that RFK's real mission was truly health policy, and however to accomplish that, which it's incredible to see all the different things that have come out in that Maha report and what's being done because of that. So I think there will be some more Maha legislation at the state level coming up this next session, and then hopefully some stuff at the federal level too.
Okay. Dude. Jordan, you've got it all going on. You met RFK. You're seamlessly running all these businesses. You're here with your "Don't Tread on Me" socks. I mean, it's all aligned. Thank you for being here. It's been so good to talk to you.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I always enjoy talking to you, and this was fun.
Awesome.